Don't you just love all these perfect women who never make mistakes and never cover for their husbands? Because at this point, Tia, you're gassing it. Like, it's just too much. You're doing the most, and I don't like it. Today's episode will be a little bit of mixy, but it won't be like chronological. So it'll be episode 9 and 10 mixed, and just like my overarching opinions on the big themes of the episodes. But I don't think I'm gonna go scene by scene this recap. Okay, so just bear with me. First of all, let's just recap that moment at the table. I got it. No, I wrote it down verbatim. So Stacey says, I told Tia Timo isn't quite comfortable with the group. Tia says, I told Wendy Timo is out of town. Stacey says he was out of town. He just flew back in. Where's the lie, Tia? Two things can be true at the same time. He says I'm flying back out tomorrow. He said I'm flying out tomorrow. And he could have done a same day turnaround. I don't know. I watched Aaliyah's face, and that girl is all over the place, jetting, setting. And she literally would fly to Atlanta to pick up her dog and then come right back. Even me, like I remember my mom worked for the airlines for years, and we used to go down to Florida and sometimes just come right back. It's a 2-hour flight. So people do that all the time. I don't understand why it's not clocking, Tia. You're supposed to know about this, aren't you? Isn't your dad this big business guru guy from the 80s who had all his money? He should know about taking quick flights and making quick turnarounds. What's not clocking? So I want to start with the whole Monique of it all and that whole catalyst of like making Stacey the liar. I'm like, if I hear Stacey a liar one more time, I feel like Monique handled that situation perfectly. I love that producers made Kay go to the kids table, which I think impacted her being in today's episode, which we'll get to that later. But the Greg of it all, the still Anyway, so I thought that was funny, but we'll get back to that later. So the scene with Monique and Ashley and Kay, and it was so funny how Kay and Monique were trying to put all these batteries into Monique's back before. And it seems like they were like revving her up so that when it's like winding her up, I guess would be the better analogy. Winding her up so that when Stacey gets there, she'll just be the jack in the box and pop out and go time, right? Kind of how they've done the other women. So they've wound up Tia and she went. They wound up Kiara and she went. So they thought they were going to do the same thing to Monique, but she didn't go because she knows these women. She's been here before. She's not new to this. She's true to this. So I love how she handled herself with like such poise and grace when speaking with Stacey. And I don't think obviously at this point she trusts Stacey, and she has no reason to really trust her. But I think she's kind of taking everything that everyone says to her with a grain of salt. And I also think once they brought up Cookie and once they brought up, sorry. Anyway, once they brought up Cookie, I have to do it. Don't you have to do it? And once they brought up, what's that other one? Sharice. Once they brought Sharice up, she was done with the conversation. Those are two of her ops. Remember Sharice put that tea out that they later talk about in episode 10. About to Giselle about the trainer. She was the one that planted that seed to Giselle, and Giselle was the one. She was the one being wound up back then, but she's learned to now wound up the new girls, and she got people to play with before. She only had Ashley to play with back in the day, but now cause she was the young buck kind of like Giselle in the group, and then they brought Ashley in, who was like I think, and then who was like even younger. And that was like that dynamic. So she had Ashley to play with because she couldn't play with everybody else like that. Not to that caliber. Like she's gotten there over the seasons. And I know this all because I just watched like Potomac. I was going back and watching like the old seasons and stuff, like because I wasn't there for that. Like really there. I was like young. So I went back and watched Atlanta, and then I went back and watched Potomac. And so, yeah, it was really like a lot of winding up Ashley and winding up Giselle on season 1 from the OG ladies. What's her name? Sharice and Karen. And did you hear that the show was supposed to be called Jack and Jill back in the day? I didn't know that either. So apparently it was pitched as a Jack and Jill show. So which makes so much more sense why they're so bougie and that the cult like socialite society is such a big deal with them, because if you're a part of Jack and Jill, that's amongst that world. Like I remember being a part of the Right Foundation and all those kind of things back in the day, and yeah, I never fit in with them. I was too real. Speaking of real, in episode 10, we meet up with AJ, who I love. I feel like if you have a friend like AJ, he is like a good catalyst for like realness. And I feel like if someone like him is in Stacey's life, then you know she's a real person. You know she isn't necessarily the drama, because a guy like him like is so grounded in who he is. He wouldn't hang with no phonies or fakes. But I love that he put that battery in her back. I was like, yes, she needed that. She needed to remember she from the D and who she be. Purr. Every time AJ says, y'all, so she told him the story about what was going on between her and the girls, how she's being outcasted and things like that. And he was like, really? Y'all old asses need to grow up. I lived for that. That was a moment. So I don't know if you ever heard of flagpole theory. When a station like Fox 5 or we're going to use Fox, for example, because that's the best example I can think of. When they create a new station, they use a flagship or flagpole show. And for them at that time, it was like Martin and Living Color and things like that, these black shows. And they're doing the same thing with Tubi right now. They create these flagship shows that bring black eyeballs to the network, because black people watch a lot of television and entertainment because we go through a lot. So we have to, have ourselves entertained so we don't focus on the negativity in the world, right? So they know that. So now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they keep us oppressed so we can keep watching TV. Anyway, neither here nor there. So she is like, and then they create new things and new people, new shows around them. But that flagpole is the show that keeps the check, right? It's the show that keeps the money for the network, right? And that's who Stacey is right now. She's the flag. It is Karen, obviously, but Karen's not here. Christina's not here. So they had to create. So I think they were going to create it, meaning it was supposed to be Giselle, but because Giselle is not carrying the way she's supposed to, it ended up being Stacey. So she's the flagpole, and everybody's storyline is circling around her. If you notice, there's not one person whose story is not connected to Stacey, and she's literally the money tree, the money plant. Like, she's secured her position in the franchise for now. So, or for, hopefully for a while. But yeah, it's just really amazing to see how every storyline is surrounding her. And I was like, if they do this one more time, like Stacey, like, we get it, we don't care. She's enjoyable and her lies are not that deep. And they're comparing it to Mia, but Mia was lying about Gordon's health and his mental illness. Her lies are about if TJ was her boyfriend. That's a Kenya lie, not a Mia lie. Come on. And also, let me just also say this about Tia. I feel like, personally, Tia, so what? Whoop-de-doo. Toodle-doo. Stacey husband didn't want to go to lunch with you. Like, why are you making mountains out of molehills? Why is this such a pivotal moment? You keep saying she lied, and as I mentioned in my first quote of the video, where's the lie? And she said this herself, Stacey, and to Ashley this episode, she said, every lie that you guys have called me out on, I have proved not to be true. Like, where are these lies? And then for Ashley to call her a lion AH, like, what? A lion 304? Where'd that come from? When Ashley, her first season, again, I just watched it, she was literally at that bar flirting with men when she was married. Remember that episode when she was flirting with them little young men and it was all in her face? And she was doing that to Gullum the whole show. Whenever she went out, whenever she was here, there's always men in Ashley's face. But Stacey's the 304, and we've only seen her promote celibacy. She didn't even say she was sleeping with TJ. They were pushing her to do it, but she was celibate for the entirety of the show. So I just think they're just coming on a little too strong to Stacey. So where were we? I think we were at the point where, I just feel like this whole Tia thing, she made a mountain out of a molehill, and I think she did it in order to fit in with the girls. And we'll talk about it later when she meets up with Stacey and she says, I tried to have grace for you, but you really did not. You really never had it or saw it for Stacey, and you said it in the first words of your sentence. You literally said, I was told all this stuff about you. And you know how that goes. Once people fill your head up with something about a person, no matter how much you are trying to be diplomatic towards that person, you already come into the relationship with preconceived notions, and you were so gassed up and wound up, as I mentioned, that you were ready to jump on the hate train for Stacey. There's two Ashley scenes that we see this episode, and I really need to see those. But it was Ashley with her boo, I think his name is Josh, and then her breaking up with Josh, by the way. And then it was her with her sister, her little sister, talking about her father's addiction, who is not Ashley's biological dad, because we know Ashley's biological dad never came out the house. He never came out the house. So I'm not gonna get into that. That's wrong. But what I will say is, it's also wrong what you're doing, Ashley. Putting your sister's personal, deep, dark secrets about her own father, her actual biological father, who is in her life, good, better, and different, on this platform that you know breaks down and tears people apart when he's already struggling with addiction. Where they do that at? And to make her cry on camera right before she's about to start college, and you know people, and especially these generation of children, are ruthless. I think that was just real low class and nasty work, and you need to get your own storyline. Stop biting off your mama's storyline, because really that ain't got nothing to do with you either. Just like Stacey's stuff don't got nothing to do with you. That have to do with your mama and her man, who she has not left since, what, season 1, season 2, whatever they met. Wasn't Michael even supporting him? Like, that's her man. Her man. She ain't leaving. And to keep doing this public humiliation ritual, get a life. Next up is the scene about Big Boy and Monique. I can't believe they played Big Boy clips, and then they played the whole holy pastor whore or something like that. Oh my gosh, this episode, it was something else. Yeah, Monique took too much accountability, and Giselle didn't take any accountability, which was typical, and it really was boring. It was a boring scene. Monique did say in some of her interviews that we didn't get to see exactly what was shown because Giselle apparently opened up a lot more. And I'll boil it down to this: Giselle don't give a damn. And she mentioned this, like she said in a recent interview, that she really don't give a F. Moral of the story is Giselle does not give a damn. Sorry. And that is the catalyst of who she is at this point. Throughout the seasons, she's put armor up about who she is, and she digs and digs and digs and gets dirt on everybody else to protect and show who she is. We've seen that time and time again. It is her armor. It's the way she moves on the show, and I think she'll continue to move like this until it gets her in really big trouble, a la Chris and Candace last season. The next scene we see Kay, and we don't see Kay. Kay's a ghost, and I think she must have cried to production because she was really upset about not wanting to look embarrassed with Greg not giving her a ring. So apparently she made Greg go get her a ring, but at the end of the scene, she still had a ring that was non-existent. She never got her ring. So Greg played in our faces. He was looking around, looking up and down, looking everywhere but at them rings, honey. And you can tell the more wine Angel sipped, the more embarrassed she was. The Kate mama, on the other hand, she was there for business, and she was trying to get that ring on the hand. She's like, I'm here. Kay don't have to be here. I'm a pick. And she just thought it was going to be a serious thing. And I think, again, Kay didn't want to be in the scene. She didn't want to lose her bag, so her family showed up for her in support of filming for her segment. But at the end of the day, I think that really threw a blow at her. The fact that Stacey said, cloudy and compared to nothing. And I know you guys are into that. My man, my car, my dad. I don't think she ate. Her face was so... I don't think he ate, but I could be biased because at this point, I can't stand K or A. So I think I'm biased, so I'm going to move on. You know what the gag is? Everybody's bad at Stacey, but she's been honest with Wendy every step of the way. And if anybody was to have a plight with her, it should be Wendy. But Wendy finds her hilarious, which makes the girls even more angry, because even this scene where she uninvites Wendy, that clearly is her legal team telling her it's a conflict of interest for some sort. And if she sees comparisons, she can draw up legal claims against you. I think it was really smart of her not to, bring her to that event. And then everybody's saying that oh, Stacey's event was bootleg, she doesn't own it. So that actually proves that she wasn't lying if she doesn't own it, right? Because she basically says that hers is not the same situation as Wendy's. She's in partnership with that company, and she has like a boutique design. Yeah, boutique designing, I think they call them, something like that. So it's fine. It's still gonna make her money. It's still her brand. It's like being like in the MLM of it all. Like you own your whatever you're selling for your MLM, but you're under that umbrella of the company that's selling the products. It's still your business technically. And another thing you guys said was a lie when she said that Wendy couldn't be here. That's not a lie. That is true. She said Wendy couldn't be here. She didn't have to say Wendy couldn't be here because my team and I felt like it was a conflict of interest. Why is that their business? They gonna see it in the conversation. They want to have beef with Stacey, and it's not Wagyu. It's like Roadhouse. It's like Outback. It's dried up and tasteless beef. Another thing, the outfit situation with Stacey matching with Ashley. They have the same stylist. Wendy also had that stylist, but Wendy let go of the stylist because she said, I'm tired of matching with you hoes. Yeah. So speaking of HOEs, we talked about that earlier for Ashley having the audacity to try to call Stacey that when that wasn't even her. That's not even her steez. And I think that's why Stacey let it go. And people were saying she should have kicked out Ashley for saying that versus Tia. I think it's like Mighty Mouse versus Superman. Like, I think she gets something. Like, she gets stirred up when it comes to Tia. Tia is a woman of a certain caliber that I don't think she sees Ashley as any formidable opponent. If you guys recall, I mean, there's so many Ashley lies, but one of the biggest ones was when Gollum took the store from her. She was really embarrassed about that, and she kind of lied to the girls about that for a long time, and to us about what was going on with Gollum and that business and the restaurant of it all, and her getting kicked out and not getting a business part of the partial ownership of that business. Let's not forget. So here's the big crescendo everybody's talking about. Tia says immediately, when I came into the group, I heard some preconceived notions about you. Boom, there it is, clocked it. Not say less. Because once you hear these things about me, you already aren't coming in with a pure and open heart, which we saw clearly when you invited Stacey's husband to an event with Giselle. And you know Giselle has been coming for her and left her out of the entire trip and isn't even at that, the event currently. You know how Giselle feels about her. So to invite her husband to something with Giselle, of all people, we already see that you weren't pure-hearted. And I see people on Twitter saying they're now Team Tia and everything like that. And I just feel like this was inevitable. It was going to happen because of Tia's perception of Stacey was already skewed. She just needed any drop in the water to make her come full-fledged, again, winding of the back towards Stacey. And she got that. She got a little tiny bit of it because her husband didn't want to go to dinner with her. And she turned that into this huge 3-episode crescendo where she went to go toe-to-toe with Stacey in this last, big moment, blowout. And while at the end, I do think both women made their points. So where Tia feels like she was lied to by Stacey, I feel like Stacey was just protecting her husband, who was the one that is in the lie, and said he had a business trip. And Stacey also didn't really get caught in the lie because the only lie I will say from my memory is the husband said he wasn't coming back in until the beginning of next week or something like that when he came in back in that same night. But that could have changed in conversation. That's something that can easily be covered between the husband and wife. Like, that would not include Tia in that moment. So that one is kind of iffy, but I could see Tia feeling like Stacey lied and was trying to get Tia on her side, which I can see that happening because if you have all the girls against you, of course you're trying to get somebody on your side. And from what Tia seems like she was going to explain is that Stacey does a lot of behind the scenes talking, which is something that we saw that Karen did for her, and Stacey outed her about that last season, outed Karen about the behind the scenes conversation she would have about the girls. It seems like Stacey was trying to do the same thing with Tia to prep her for the season as well. So it's kind of like almost, if we would have allowed Tia to keep going, there almost would have been a break of the fourth wall, but Stacey shut that down with her toodle-doo. She said, you got to go, whoop-de-doo. But with Tia, I was like, I wrote this, and I'm gonna read it verbatim because I think I said it perfectly. I said, Tia, I don't see any lies. I do feel there is willful ignorance and misconstrued judgment on your part, so that you can fit into this group. But as far as Stacey goes, there are no lies. I feel like there's, of course, miscommunication between, was the husband on a flight? Did he come in that day? Could he have made it into the dinner? That's the lie. And to make this big thing over that part, which really had nothing to do with Stacey, more to do with her husband not wanting to be a part of the group, which she was honest with Tia about also. So I don't know. That one's a little bit tricky. I do see both sides of the equation where Tia feels like this just proves the point of all the women that you lie and you put me in a bad light. And I think that's what it's more about, like putting Tia in this bad light and accusing Tia of not being honest. When Tia feels like Stacey herself was the one not being honest. So I kind of understand both, but I'm still team Stacey for now. But I understand why there were a few team Tias as well. As far as this episode, it was pretty good. Episode 9, 10 was better than episode 9, which basically was all a draw up to bring Monique into the conversation with Stacey, but it was quickly cooled down and really wasn't much to the episode besides that. And they had Kay at the kids table, which I think made her salty and she didn't want to show up in today's episode, which Greg ended up throwing more salt on the room by not giving her, some salt, some crystals on her hand or something, some diamonds, honey, some little bitty diamonds. Give her something. But neither here nor there. I think Potomac's doing great this season. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing what they have to look forward to. If you guys enjoyed this recap, please don't forget to hit the follow button above if you're watching here on TikTok. And if you're watching here on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. It's your girl, Nico Nicole, and this is Give This Girl a Mic. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. So meet me over on YouTube. I'm gonna start doing my lives over there, and I would love for you guys to join me on YouTube where I do lives, and I can do more long form content because over here there's like these quick bite size bits, and yeah, I can like stitch them together. And I love this editing app. That's why I come over here, and I like the lighting. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And YouTube just has the superior conversational platform where we can really like kiki and talk. And until I go live here, which obviously I don't have the followers to go live, like we're going to just have to hang out on YouTube so you guys can really get to know me. So don't forget, it's same name, Give This Girl a Mic, over on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me there. And also on Blue Sky, I tweet all the time. Like you'll get these tweets on Blue Sky before you get a video. So if you really want to know what I think about these shows and other shows that I'm watching, don't forget to go follow me on Blue Sky as well. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.